There was a woman who was in her older years whose daughter had passed away, and she was inconsolable. At the same time, she was developing cataracts on her eyes. Her family was encouraging her to get the cataract operation. In her grief, she said, "There's nothing in this world for me to see. Why bother?" No one could convince her. The Swami came in, spoke to her and said, "Look, I totally understand. I also don't want to see this world. But remember, you're old. Death could take you at any moment. You are entertaining a desire not to see the world. Well, what would be a conducive environment for that desire? A blind embodiment, born blind. That desire, I don't want to see the world, is being given an opportunity to express by being born into a blind embodiment." And you could imagine yourself being born into that. When you begin to understand your plight, you shake your fist at God and say, "Why me?" So it sounds a little bit like a punishment, or it sounds a little bit like a harsh lesson. But reincarnation, if it's true, is part of the fabric of nature. And if we look at nature, nature always helps. Nature always takes us in that direction of balance and the direction of healing. Cut yourself. Immediately forces are rallied to heal that wound. Over the holiday season, you drink too much, the body immediately detoxifies. And you look at the same thing from the global perspective. There's this phrase, trophic cascade. So what does that mean? Anytime there is a change made in one area of the natural environment, there's a cascade of events that go on to bring rebalance. So there's a video online available called How Whales Change Climate. It talks about this idea of a trophic cascade. It's a beautiful example of how there's a network, a fabric of things happening that bring rebalance. I'd encourage you to look at that. So if we are transported into a birth that doesn't suit us, something that seems to us to be lower, then it's an opportunity to exhaust the desires that we have been generating. The common example that's used to illustrate this idea is when we are born into a non-human embodiment. So the standard example is that of someone who is bloodthirsty. They are entertaining a whole host of violent, destructive desires, being born as a tiger. It's possible to think of it as a punishment. You've been demoted. You've been relegated down to the animal kingdom. No, it's not that. It's not a punishment. Nature has said, what do you want? You want to be bloodthirsty and destructive? I have the perfect embodiment for you. Here, be a tiger. Enjoy that. Express your nature. Be who you are. Exhaust that desire. As a consequence, you've also been taken out of the human population, which is good for us. But nature is rebalancing. So as far as the theory goes, it's difficult for us to be relegated into that non-human birth, because we also have a whole range of subtler desires that can only be satisfied within the human embodiment. But theoretically it is possible.